And I hope someone has grabbed Mike McCarthy by his ears, cartoon style, and said, "What do you think you're doing?" The Dallas Cowboys. Las Vegas has them at 9.5 wins. A lot of discussion going on about this team. Obviously, Cowboys fans always think they're going to win the Super Bowl. Haven't been there in quite a while, since the 90s.
You got to bring that up. That's in the past.
But reluctantly, I'm taking the over just because when I look at their schedule, I can get them to 10 wins.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you here. I'm going to take the over as well. Look, they won 12 games last year with Dak missing 5. Kellen Moore's out.
Yeah,
Mike McCarthy's
that's the
in.
big issue. Yeah.
And by the way, the preseason has looked reminiscent of the old school Packers offense when McCarthy led them. It's that quick passes, getting the ball out fast, not wasting any time. It's as Dak named it, the Texas Coast offense. The defense is really one of the best defenses in the NFL, period. I think they're actually going to be better defensively than the Eagles will be this year. And I know you say, what? How is that possible? How is that possible?
How is that possible, Ryan?
Well, we just talked about it. The Eagles have some secondary issues. Dallas doesn't have any issues. They had issues, and they've improved them. The middle of the field, which was their weakest spot last season, they fixed it. Dallas looks scary, man. They look scary, especially in their training camps that they've been doing. It's a whole different team. And look, I've never been a Dak fan. I think I've made it evident. I've sure never been a Mike McCarthy fan.
That's harsh.
But what I will say is Mike McCarthy has this team looking really, really good, super terrifying, and I think they're going to give Philadelphia a run for their money. I wouldn't be surprised if they win the division. And Philadelphia has, and I know I say that Philadelphia will make the Super Bowl. I think it may take them not winning the division for them to get the juice behind them to actually go to the Super Bowl, Philadelphia, that is. I think Dallas has a really good shot staying healthy. That's been one of their big issues the past few years, is actually staying healthy. If they can manage to do that, I don't see what's going to stop this team. I really don't, because the receiving core is great. The running back group is great. Pollard's going to be phenomenal again. Dak can get you there. I mean, he's going to be a top 7, top 8 quarterback, more than likely. The defense is going to keep rolling like they did last year. And what did they finish at last year? Defense finished 13th overall. Look for them in the top 10 this year. Easy. If they don't finish top 5 or better, I would be surprised.
You put a lot on the table there. I'm going to try to take it point by point. Because even though I also have the over on them, I am definitely not as high on them as you are. We'll say last season, me and you both undervalued them. Me and you both thought they were going to be man to bad last year. We were wrong.
Then they went 12-5.
I miscalculated.
First point about the defense. Completely agree. No argument for me. I think the defense is just going to be better. Dan Quinn is one of the great defensive minds in football. He has stayed around another year. Micah Parsons is arguably the best defensive player in the NFL.
And I don't know that I've seen a Dallas team this well put together. Again, this is all preliminary, and it's not into the real season. I know anything doesn't matter until then. But just what I've seen, this team looks really, really good, dude. And then a big thing that people aren't talking about is Brandon Cooks. The addition of Brandon Cooks to this team is going to transition this offense, I think, into a different weapon. I really, really believe that.
So let me move on from the defense, because I don't think me, you, or anybody really argues about the defense. I think we expect the defense to be good. The question, and I'll play off with the defense, is how much of the load are they going to have to carry? You mentioned Brandon Cooks. Adding him actually is really big. I mean, look at how good a year he had. I think he had like 800-something yards last year, and he was with the Texans. So Brandon Cooks is a big addition. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb's a baller. Dallas is going to do what Dallas always does. They're going to win a lot of regular season games. They're going to get into the playoffs, and then they're going to maybe win one playoff game before getting eliminated. They lost Kellen Moore. He's gone to the Chargers to play with Herbert. He's going to really enjoy his shiny new toy. Mike McCarthy has taken over play calling duties for the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of people say, great. Mike McCarthy said in an interview, I'm back in my element. Okay, I don't think that's a good thing, because you mentioned earlier, like, they've looked great in preseason, the training camp story. Okay, well, but whatever. But when they get on the field and Mike McCarthy starts having to manage these games, things go awry. They just do. He's not a great game manager. And I think we all kind of give him a hard time, maybe more so than we should. Him calling plays, I'm worried about. I'm worried about putting that on his shoulders. But even so, Albert Breer reported that Mike McCarthy said he wants to take the offense and put more on Dak's shoulders. He said he wants to open it up more and give Dak more to do. And I hope someone has grabbed Mike McCarthy by his ears, cartoon style, and said, "What do you think you're doing?" Because Dak Prescott had the most picks last year, and he missed a couple games. He's already thrown like 6 picks in his training camp. He threw like 3 one day. That is what he does. And now you're going to give him more on his plate. You're going to ask him to do more stuff.
This is a bad idea.
Dak is a solid quarterback, but he's not the kind of guy like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or Mahomes or Burrow that you can let run these teams. You have to make Dak operate within the confines of the offense. So I would have been higher on Dallas before Mike McCarthy said, we're going to put more on Dak's shoulders. I think that's a huge mistake, and I think you're going to see the consequences of it. But with or without that decision, they're going to do what they always do. They're going to win a bunch of regular season games, and they're going to shit the bed in the playoffs. That's what Dallas does. I mean, that's their MO at this point. That's their identity.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you there. All I said was they may win the division, and you can do that and still have a terrible playoff run. Because, again, they've made their name known for that. That's what they do. They get there, but they don't get anywhere else. I'm looking over their schedule, and it's a decently tough schedule. There's some sneaky games in there I think that they could lose if they're not careful. However, like you said, you could get them to 10 wins easily. I think they could go 12 or even 14 wins here if cards fall the right way. But again, I'm with you, though. If more of this game, these games this year ride on Dak's shoulders, it's not going to be good for you. I've yet to see where Dak can lead you to a win like Patrick Mahomes, like Josh Allen, like Jalen Hurts.
Well, he can't. That's just, he's not that kind of quarterback. He's not going to do that.
Exactly, but they rely on him like he is. It's like
taking. There is the problem.
It's like taking a Toyota Camry to a NASCAR track and expecting it to keep up. It just won't do it.
It's funny you say that because Toyota Camry is one of the manufacturers in NASCAR. So,
well, it shows how much I know about NASCAR.
Example, but
nobody else on this podcast would probably ever know that. But you just had to call me out. You just had to call me out.
Let that one go.
Well, you probably should have. Well, you know what? Then it's a Mitsubishi Eclipse. You probably don't even know what that is.
Never seen one.
I rode in one to high school.
Did you really?
Not a lie. My sisters had one. We actually spun out in it once.
I crashed into 2 cars.
But yeah, it's definitely one of those things where if you put Dak into a high pressure position, which by the way, a quarterback is that in the NFL. But
a little bit of pressure.
If you don't let him take baby steps, and I think that's why Mike McCarthy is maybe trying to go back to that quick passing offense.
But okay, so why did he say I want to put more on his shoulders? This was from Albert Breer. I wasn't making this up.
I don't know. Look, don't ask me. I asked Mike McCarthy. All I can tell you is that that's not smart, if you ask me. But maybe he knows something we don't. We're not there day to day.
That is so true.
But
so true.
I'll tell you one thing I do know. For as long as I can remember Dak being in the league, he hasn't proven to me that he's an elite top 5 quarterback ever. He's had flashes of greatness, but so has Daniel Jones, and there's no way you put Daniel Jones in your top 5 quarterbacks right now. So until I am proven otherwise, putting more of the game on Dak's shoulders is not a good thing. However, I still think this team, even with that, can win the division, make 12, 14 wins. I don't know what they do in the playoffs. If they make it more than 2 rounds in the playoffs, I will do a backflip.
Okay, so really no disagreements there. Do you think the loss of Ezekiel Elliott and making Pollard be the bell cow back will be a success, or do you think Pollard's going to have a tough time carrying the load?
Huge success. I think losing Ezekiel Elliott is probably the best thing to happen.
Okay, so not concerned about. I don't necessarily think losing Ezekiel Elliott. I'm saying elevating Pollard to be the main guy. 0 to 10 level of concern. You're a 0?
I'm as close to 0 as 0 can be.
That's a minor concern to me. I would say put me at a 3 or 4.
Wow.
Last question before we move on from the Cowboys. So you've taken the over on the Eagles at 11.5. You've taken the over at the Cowboys at 9.5. Well, I'm just going to put you on the spot here. Who wins this division? Do you have the Eagles or the Cowboys doing it?
Again, what I just said a while ago, I'm going to have to go with that. I think Dallas wins the division. I think Philadelphia gets in still, and they still make a Super Bowl run, being that underdog. I think that's what the Eagles will need this year to kind of kick them into overdrive and start winning these playoff games and making it to the Super Bowl. But I have Dallas winning the division, getting in, and probably losing the first one. Maybe they make it past the first one and get to the second, but they don't get higher than that.
Okay, I've got the Eagles winning the division, Dallas not far behind them, kind of similar to last year, but okay, not too far off there.